books or movies. What is supervised learning? An easy way to begin grasping the concept of supervised learning is by looking directly at the words that make up. Supervise, it means to observe and direct the execution of task, project, or activity. So supervised learning is a type of machine learning technique in which a model is trained using labeled data. And labeled data means that the input data is accompanied by the desired output or response. For instance, in a spam classification problem, the input data might be emails and the desired output might be a binary classification or of whether the email is spam or not. So the goal of supervised learning is to train a model that can predict the output of new unseen data based on the patterns it has learned from the label data. And this is accomplished by optimizing the model's parameters using a cost function that measures how well the model's predictions match the actual output. Types of supervised learning. There are two types of supervised learning techniques. They are classification, regression, and classification is a type of supervised learning that deals with predicting discrete or categorical outputs. For example, in a binary classification problem, the model has to predict whether the input belongs to one class or another. In multi-class classification, the model has to predict one of many possible classes. Regression, usually this type of supervised learning deals with predicting continuous outputs. For example, in a housing price prediction problem, the model has to predict the price of a house given various input features such as its location, size, number of bedrooms, and etc. Key concepts of supervised learning. Here, there are some key concepts. First, features. Features are the input variables that are used to predict the output. So in the spam classification example, the features might be the text of the email and the sender's email address, etc. And labels. Labels are the desired outputs that corresponds to the input features. So in the spam classification example, the label might be whether the email is spam or not. Training data. Training data is the label data used to train the model, and the model learns the patterns in the training data and uses them to make predictions on new unseen data. Test data. So test data is used to evaluate the performance of the trained model on new unseen data. And it is important to use a separate set of test data to avoid overfitting, which is when the model performs well on the training data, but poorly on the test data. Model evaluation. So model evaluation is the process of measuring how well the trained model performs on the test data. And evaluation metrics depend on the problem type. For instance, in classification problems, we might use accuracy, precision, recall, or F1 score as evaluation metrics. In regression problems, we might use mean square error, mean absolute error, or R squared as evaluation metrics. Application of supervised learning. Here are four things: image classification, speech recognition, sentiment analysis, medical diagnosis. So for image classification, supervised learning can be used to classify images into various categories such as cats, dogs, or cars. And for speech recognition, supervised learning can be used to recognize speech and convert it into text. For sentiment analysis, supervised learning can be used to analyze the sentiment of text data such as social media posts or product reviews, medical diagnosis. Supervised learning can be used to diagnose diseases based on medical data such as patient symptoms and medical history.